everybody, welcome to the Sheepdog Project. Doc coming at you from our palatial new studios, our new digs. Tim, what are you thinking about our new digs?
I like it.
I like it too. I'm very comfortable here.
Northwest Austin, not having to deal with a 2-year-old or teenagers knocking on doors.
Yeah.
Surrounded. I do miss one of the advantages about being in the home studio is in every direction.
Weaponry
of every
everywhere.
kind.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you want a spear? Do you want a spear, Mike? Sometimes.
Always.
Do you want a tomahawk?
Typically, yeah.
Okay. You want a 300 Win Mag? You want 338 Lapua? You want to go to 308?
Boarding cutlass.
Got it all.
Yeah. Whatever you want.
Within hand's reach. Yeah. Man, I have the NCO sword that we have for weddings, you know, and they're supposed to be like ceremonial. So they're like designed not to be super sharp. Do you think mine is?
I'm thinking yours does not fit that.
No, mine is razor sharp. Like one time I was putting it back in the scabbard, and this is probably why they intend them to be dull. And I slit my hand open.
Oopsie.
Yeah, and you're supposed to tap the bride on the butt as she goes by, you know?
Not a good idea with yours.
Not with my
I'm
sword.
guessing. Yeah.
No, she would lose. It would fillet off her buttocks.
Yeah. Unless she's wearing at least level 2 pro. At least.
So today we're talking about traveling overseas.
We're gonna talk. So Tim and I travel quite a bit for work, for play, for television.
For play? When was the last time you got to travel for play?
Technically, my trip to England was for play. I mean,
You were working.
I had to give a talk when I was there.
That's work.
Yeah, but that was only a small part of it. I mean, that was literally like an hour.
Unless I'm like climbing an ice shelf.
Here's what work was, and we're talking about the hazards of traveling abroad, right? So if you are going to London, rule number 1 of traveling to London is do not rent a car in London. Rule number 2 is do not rent a car in London. And then if you do rent a car in London, don't get a standard, even though I'm very comfortable driving a standard. It's not on the side that you're used to. So I violated all of my rules because I wanted self-sufficiency, because Tim and I are all about that when we go places. You don't want to have to depend on others, because if you depend on others, number 1, that's a hole in your security. Number 2, we're not the depend on others kind of people.
Yeah.
So
individual responsibility, taking control of every element, which an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. When it comes down to traveling overseas, in the military, we do a pre-deployment site survey. So before a unit goes somewhere, somebody like me gets there ahead of time, and we look at every element of what our pattern of life is going to be. Where we're staying, where we're working, where we're sleeping,
where our food's going to come from, where our water's going to come from.
Who the cooks are at the restaurants, where we're allowed to have business meetings, where we can get coffee, where you can go and have a night out and actually relax, which happens few and far between. In these pre-deployment site surveys, we create a packet, and this packet is not necessarily what you're allowed to do, but this is what you're supposed to do. And if you deviate from that, it's on you if something bad happens. And even if you stay in alignment and do what you're supposed to do, there is still an assumed risk, and you have to prepare for that.
Because you can mitigate a risk. You can never eliminate a risk. You're never going to do that. You just have to mitigate the risk as much as possible.
So before you go someplace, so in my past 6 months, I've been in completely permissive environments. So permissive environment is someplace where everybody loves you, they want to hang out with you, there's very low level of threat from terrorist units, from organized crime. You know, you're never completely safe wherever you're going.
You can wear a Trump t-shirt and nobody's going to have a problem.
Nobody cares. And then you have kind of semi-permissive environments, and that's going to be where I've spent most of my time.
It's where I spent most of my adult life.
Yeah. Well, my entire adult life has been between semi-permissive and non-permissive.
Yeah.
Non-permissive, that's combat. That's Mogadishu. That is Baghdad in 2005.
That is everybody you didn't bring with you wants to kill you.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, it's like there's me and my 11 friends, and then there's 800,000 people in every direction that want me dead. That's non-permissive. Semi-permissive, that's kind of the weird bummer spot.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the world, like we are tragically reminiscent of some of the places that I used to enjoy visiting as a wayward youth. Places I would go and hang out and party. Those are terrorist hubbubs now.
Yeah.
The Paris, the Berlins, the Londons, the Brussels, everywhere in Germany. Those 10 years ago, 15 years ago, those were great places to go, like ideal. You're a single guy, you go and have a good time. Even a lot of Africa, South Africa included, Northwest Africa, those great places to go and hang out. That's changed.
Yeah. Changed
in a very, very scary and tragic way. And where no part of London is safe. If you're in the nicest area of town, that is being targeted. If you are at the Eiffel Tower in Paris, that's being targeted. If you're in Berlin and you see a bunch of beautiful horses running like up in the air at each other, that's being targeted. That is where fanatics are looking. The nucleus of kind of the ideas of freedom and liberty and democracy. Those are the places that they attack. And those are tourist centers. They would love nothing more than to be able to blow up some Americans and to hurt the idea of freedom. So before we go places, we do a ton of work, a lot of research.
Yeah, I was going to say, in starting with the research, because you mentioned, we have a pre-deployment site survey that goes over there, but before, and you and I have both been a part of pre-deployment site surveys. And for me, when I got the tasking, you were going on a pre-deployment site survey. The first thing you do is every unit has what we call the two shop, where all your geeks hang out. So you go to where the geeks are, and it's usually through a big set of doors that look like you're going into M's office, right?
Yep. You drop your cell phone off.
You drop your cell phone off. You're usually getting buzzed in places and taking out one badge and getting another badge. And you get in there and you say, "This is where I'm going, guys. What do you got?" And that's when they bring out all the info, not the stuff that you're seeing, not the stuff that's making it on CNN and MSNBC, but what's really going on, like how many terrorist cells are operating in that place. And it gives you a breakdown. For us, it's a breakdown of everything of, ISIS recruiting is going on at this level. This many cells are going on in this level, all the way down to street crime level.
Yeah.
Because you got to be aware of all that. Because even when Tim and I go into these semi-permissive places and we've got our eye on the bad guy, the risk of somebody coming up and knocking on the car window and just trying to steal our wallet, if they're that stupid, that risk is still there. So we have to be aware of that as well.
So that's not the open source information, and that's great stuff. Right. There's actually
that's not what you're going to get.
No, yeah. but what you can get access to is really impressive, mm-hmm. and you can find a ton of information if you know where to look online. I'll tell you what, TripAdvisor. And
not too bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah.
If you start going and looking at comments, if you say, I'm going to go to this hotel, and you go and look at the other hotels around there, and you look at the comments of the people that have stayed there, they're going to tell you that the room smelled, that the doors on the second floor were propped open. They're going to tell you that and you have to read through the lines of what people are saying because they're not saying it clearly. And when they say there are some unsavory looking people, well, look at the profile of the person saying this so you can understand the source of information. But if it's a 35-year-old guy that looks like he travels a lot and he's been commenting on a bunch of people and he's saying, man, there's some sketchy people outside the lobby of this hotel, you can probably trust that. And then look and maybe find some images, go to Google Earth, do a walk of what the restaurants are like in the area, and it's astounding the amount of information that's open source.
Well, and look at the proximity. Let's say you're picking a hotel. Look at the proximity. You mentioned Google Earth, which is one of the best things out there for open source intelligence. And if you go to Google Earth and you say, well, what's in the proximity of that hotel that I'm going to stay in Brussels? Oh, 2 blocks away, there's a refugee relocation center. Yeah, that's a warning sign. Bus stations. You never want to stay in a hotel near a bus station. I don't care what country you're in.
If there's a strip club, if there's a an adult entertainment business that is co-located at the same address, and the way that they do it, like especially in North Africa and in Europe, they're separate businesses, but they share the same address. So you have to actually search, like don't just search prostitutes, but you have to look for dance club or adult entertainment, and sometimes you have to search in the native language of where you're staying for those to populate. And if that's co-located at your hotel, that's another warning.
Yeah, that's a huge red flag.
So
basically, you're staying in a hotel that's openly involved in human trafficking. Basically,
when you're picking your hotel, I like to be near police stations, not next door to, but within like 2-3 blocks. I like to be near a good hospital, not a crap hospital, a good hospital. And you can click on the hospitals and route where that is. I also like being near our embassy.
Yes, very, very important. Very important to be not only to be near the embassy, but know an on-foot route to get to that embassy.
Multiple routes.
Yeah, multiple routes in case you can't get there by your primary. And I'll tell you another thing that I do is I don't travel anywhere, whether I'm traveling, whether I was traveling while on active duty with an official passport or I'm traveling on vacation. Not only do I know where the embassy is, I have the phone number to the embassy saved in my phone, memorized if possible, written down on a piece of paper. I call the embassy before I go places, and I say, let me talk to the mill group, or, let me talk to the Marine Guard. Okay, because that's somebody who I know I'm going to speak their language. And I say, look, this is the hotel that I'm looking at. What's your opinion on it? You never met me before. What's your opinion? Oh, I wouldn't stay there, sir. We don't let anybody stay there. Oh, okay, where should I stay? What areas should I avoid? And I know in a lot of the embassy that I worked in the longest was the one in Lima, Peru. And we used to get phone calls like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great duty station, by the way. I love Lima. But there are places in Lima that, from even going open source, you wouldn't know that that's a dangerous place. What do you mean it's a dangerous place? It's 2 blocks away from the Jockey Plaza Mall, or what? That's a dangerous place. You don't go there.
No. So there's some work that has to be done before you arrive.
Yeah.
If you're traveling with your family, that's another set of considerations. Never that your family is a liability. That's not what I'm saying, but you have to take into account that your movement on foot is going to be slower, that you are going to be at a higher risk of being targeted by people if you're traveling with your spouse. Yeah. If you have kids with you, you're going to have a different set of threats. It's not going to be the guy that's looking to capture an executive that's traveling with an oil company, which you might look like if you're traveling by yourself. That decreases when you're hanging out on the beach of Agadir with your wife and your kids and walking to and from the resort. Now you're going to be more vulnerable to the panhandlers, the thieves, the robbers.
And don't ever think you're going to blend in, because you're not.
You're not, man.
Absolutely not.
I try everything I can. I look at what the best soccer team is. I look at where I'm staying. Usually the soccer teams get broken up in 2 different socioeconomic classes. So you have the rich people, they're going to like one team. The poor people, they're going to like another team. So I'm obviously a big, strong white guy. So there's no way that they're ever going to assume that I'm part of the poor team. So I'm like, okay, I'll try to pull off looking like I'm a fan and an athlete, kind of go-getter, cross-fitting, soccer-loving European.
Because it's real easy for Tim to blend in places.
Yeah.
If you can't tell.
And maybe I can get past the initial look where the eyes are casting and they see like a Go Cristano shirt and they're like, yeah, Cristano, yeah. I'm like, yeah, and that's it. But 75% of the time they're gonna look at me. So I own that. I wear the GPS watch, and I look like I wear like 511 or Solomon boots, so I look like I'm the hiker kind of active guy. So hopefully I don't look like the Special Forces Sniper Ranger qualified Green Beret ex-UFC fighter that likes to kill bad people. I try to more look like the outdoorsy, really survivalist cool guy, which would minimize my profile, my footprint.
Just for those of you that have seen Tim and I on television, I want to emphasize something, that what you see us wear on the show is functionally pretty close to what we would wear, but not quite.
But still television.
Yeah, it's what you see me typically wear on television. I like it from a functionality point of view, and I wear a lot of the same brands and a lot of stuff that's very similar. But obviously, when we're lugging an entire television crew with us everywhere we go, we don't have to be completely nondescript, and so that's not an issue.
So I do a lot of research into the laws of where I'm going.
Like what knife you can carry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if you land in Berlin and you pull out an auto knife, that's as big of a crime.
All pocket knives are illegal in Morocco.
Like as big of a crime as owning a gun. Like you'll go to jail in the equivalent of our felony for having a knife. So you have to know the laws. If you're going to be getting a car, you have to understand the driving laws. Having an international driver's license and understanding that, knowing what your insurance will cover or won't cover in an international car. Because don't think that a car rental company isn't going to try and rob you as bad as a thief on the street.
Yeah.
Because they will.
It's sanctioned, but they can. But it's still thievery.
It is 100% is. But if you know the laws and you understand what your insurance covers, you can tell them to go F themselves. What hotel room so not only the hotel that you're picking, you can pre-plan where you're going to eat, and I usually do. I look at the best restaurants in the area. I try and find locations that are safe. Sometimes you can even reserve tables under different names. If you're traveling under pseudonyms, and I do that all the time. Where I'm not using Tim Kennedy, I'm using like Ted Kenny, or I'm using Mike Simpson, or I'm using.
He does that a lot.
Reservation under Blake Hayes. Oh, sweet, you got a table.
That's why there's restaurants and establishments I have never been to, but I am no longer welcome in.
Yeah. I also, when you're connecting to Wi-Fi overseas, I have a handful of emails of people that I don't like, and I use those emails to plug in to get access to the free Wi-Fi. I turn off everything and I hide everything into secure folders in my phone, like my contact list, my notes section. All of those things are encrypted on my phone. So even if I'm connecting to a super shady one, the email that I'm using and the access to information, and I also have two phones. So I have my real work phone that I'm never connecting to any Wi-Fi, and then I have my second phone that is the one I'm using people that I don't like's emails and have minimal information on there to connect and use, the internet. So I always do that. I always have two phones, and one of them goes to Wi-Fi in the hotel. It goes to Wi-Fi in the restaurants and the cafes and the airports. Every airport overseas has free Wi-Fi, and they will take everything on your phone. Yeah. They'll do it.
Yeah, and speaking of phones, another important thing to do before you travel is
get a shoe phone. Hello.
You do a scrub of your phone for what's in there in case it does get rolled up. And any apps that you have, anything that's doing automatic pushing or pulling of information, you need to screen that and make sure that if you want to post your location, if you want to stand next to the London Eye and get a picture and tag that location for your Instagram feed, that's fine. But make sure that none of that's automatic. Make sure that anytime you're signing in, signing out, that there's no automatic info that's being pushed, because people literally will, there's a term for it, a techno geek out there can probably text it to us or send it to us in a message, that for these guys that walk around and basically they're just sweeping for data and they're looking to pick up on it. And that's how they'll get you.
So I don't want to break the show you what's behind the mirrors and the curtains and the smoke. But all of my social media, when locations and dates are associated with it, that is not when it actually occurred. Oh my gosh. So, if you see a picture of me standing in front of a doorway and I and it says that is in Nangar province. I was in Nangar province when that photo was taken, but it's not when that photo was posted. If it says I'm in Berlin, or if I'm in Paris, or if I'm in Brussels, and like, hey, look, I just got a new bad guy. Hi, Manchester. That photo was taken at a specific time and then posted, messing with the dates and the locations to go a little bait and switch.
So if you're wondering how it is you've seen me Facebook live stream from my house in the same day that you see a picture of me standing next to a lake in Austria, that's how we're doing it.
Yeah, magic.
Yeah.
So in addition to picking your hotel, the location of the hotel, and proximity to embassies, hospitals, police departments, bus stations, immigration relocation centers, I also pick my room. So I like my room to be on the 3rd floor. I like it to be in between the elevator and the staircase. I like to have it on a window facing the outside of the back of the hotel, or the not the street side.
The view that nobody wants is actually the best view to have.
Yeah.
That's the view that I had in London, and that's the view you want.
That's the best view. So why the 3rd floor? So 2nd or 3rd floor, you want it high enough that somebody on the ground on the street can't put a chair or a ladder up and crawl in your window. That's how high you want it. But then you want it high enough, or rather low enough, that you can get out of your window and get on the ground without breaking all the bones in your body, or breaking any bones in your body. Don't break any bones in your body.
Yeah.
So literally tying a sheet to a chair, putting the sheet out the window, closing the window so the chair is up against the window, and lowering yourself 6 feet so you're on the ground and you only have to drop 4 feet safely on the ground on your way to the embassy.
If you're in Europe, you're tying a duvet cover together because the sheets are a little bit different over there.
So
don't try to use the whole duvet.
No.
You don't want to hang out the window.
No.
Take the duvet cover off.
it'd be warm and nobody wants feathers.
Tie it to the mattress cover. That's the only way that it's going to work.
So my style with the duvet, I'm a 200 plus hairy muscle dude. Duvet cover comes out, it goes in the closet, and all I have is the sheet. I sleep in the sheet, and sometimes I'll even take a second sheet and I'll pre-tie that sheet and shove it in the closet.
You think he's kidding? He's not.
I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I also have pre-positioned the stuff in my room. Like if you think that your little chain or the little bar over the door with the bolt lock does anything for your security, it does not.
We should actually get a hotel. We should go to a hotel room, and we can show you how fast Tim Kennedy can demolish that hotel lock with literally no tools at all.
No tools. Yeah. I'm in your hotel room door in less than 1 second with no one in the hotel knowing that I got in there. That's no joke. Anybody with a little bit of training can do it, and any criminal on the planet knows how to do it. So, do you barricade your door?
I do barricade my door.
So do I. Yeah. Do you, if you're in a super sketch area, do you ever put like things on the outside of your door, letting you notice that somebody's coming down the hallway?
Yes, I do. And that was there was a hotel that I stayed in recently for the show that the whole crew was talking about this. Is the do not disturb sign meant absolutely nothing, because I don't like my room to be made up for just that reason. I don't want anybody in there. So first order of business when I pull all my stuff into my room is I find the do not disturb sign and I put it out. And yes, I will use stuff to mark my door. I got that from the original James Bond to see if my door has been entered while I was away.
So when you go, you can take a piece of Scotch tape and you can put it on the back side of the door. So when the door gets opened, and you put it in a place like by the latch, so it won't, the Scotch tape will tear, or the Scotch tape will come off when the door is opened, so it won't reconnect and re-adhere when it gets closed again.
I like the a little piece of cardboard from like a matchbook cover or something like that,
Just stuff
about a foot up on the hinge side of the door.
Nice.
So, because that's not where anybody's looking. Because when they're opening the door this way, if you have it on this, they're he has an anti-intrusion device, and they'll see it. But if you put it on the hinge side of the door, they don't see it, but you know where it is.
Yeah. So location of your room, location of the restaurants, location of the hotel, location of the embassy, location of police department, hospital, strip clubs. These are all things that you should know and should have planned.
Do you remember the less than savory hotel that we almost stayed in.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, on our last trip.
Yeah.
And what did I notice within 10 minutes of us being there about
It was like 10 seconds.
About the stairwell?
So we're on the border of Austria and Germany, and we're staying on a hotel on an interstate. So our concerns there, it's human trafficking, drug smuggling. There are motorcycle groups, and we're in Europe, so the kind of the hard
They
right.
weren't groups. I'm in a motorcycle group. These were motorcycle gangs.
Okay.
Let's be clear.
I was defining who they were. Like hanging out in the lobby, bikes out in front, not good bikes.
No.
Not that I'm judging.
They're what we call rat bikes.
Yeah.
They were. Yeah.
With sketch patches, you saw some iron crosses.
And don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of friends in in the motorcycle world and what we call 1% clubs, but these guys, even for European bike clubs, these guys were highly sketch. Yeah.
So within minutes, I would say seconds of us being in there, Mike had already done an initial threat assessment of the hotel. He had found that doors had been propped open on multiple levels. So the latch closing on the fire escapes were propped open for people to be able to get in and out. Seeing the people that were staying there, as soon as I get to a place, I take a walk around the building. I find the closest entrances, exits, and I went down, and in the basement of our hotel was a club. I walked inside, and it was like, wah. Got creepy, eerie, quiet. When I walked in, like, okay, it's obvious this guy doesn't belong here. Looked at the girls that were in there, looked at the guys that were hanging out at the bar. Very quickly knew what's happening here, right? They're moving people and they're moving drugs.
Yeah. And aside from the fact that it was a club that was probably a third to half full at 7:30 in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we relocated, like absolutely positively, this is not where we can stay. And you have to have, even if you do the best and pre-plan everything, or you're having people do it for you, which is what happened in this instance, you have to have the mobility and confidence that you can relocate. So very quickly, we found a good hotel in a good area of town that was similarly priced, and it's economically and logistically feasible for us on the spot to move. And I'm not saying that those bikers would have kicked in the doors and tried to find stuff, or the girls that are in our crew would have been assaulted. But I also can't say that wouldn't have happened. And this comes down to minimizing risk, mitigating how vulnerable you are. That's all this is. You are just trying to hedge your bets. You're trying to set yourself up for success. You're trying to quickly realize your assets and use them, and then know what the liabilities are that come inherently with you, and just insulate those as best you can.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about mitigation. And one of the important notes that you brought up early on in your description of that hotel was the proximity to the interstate highway, which it's going to be so easy for anybody who does want to do anything to get in, do their business, and then get out and be gone.
Yeah.
It's not like you can give a description and the police can track that person down. And don't ever think that the people working at the front desk at a hotel are your friends.
No. They get paid to smile.
Yeah.
And they get paid by both sides.
Yeah.
They get paid by the hotel to smile at you, and they get paid by whatever syndicate or organized or cartel group of crime is there. They want to know who the whales are. They want to know what rooms they're going to break into. They want to know what 13-year-old girls they're going to snatch. They want to know who's traveling with money, who has the nice watch, who's wearing the good shoes. They want to know who's driving what. And I promise you, as good as you are at profiling, they're better.
Yeah. Everything you saw in the movie Taken is real. Yeah. Everything you saw in that movie is legit.
And has happened on multiple occasions.
Multiple occasions. And for the most part, they will for years there was kind of an unspoken thing about avoiding the Americans because Americans like to scream about everything all over the press, and then it's going to kill tourism and we're going to have a problem with targets. As this has become more prolific, as these areas have become more inundated with people from other areas of the world, the low-hanging fruit has changed a little bit. Now, think of it as the hyena ratio out there on the plains. You know, the hyenas are very picky about how much confrontation they will do with the lions. But when the hyena population explodes, you see a lot more of that friction. Yeah. And the hyena population has exploded around the world. So the unspoken agreement that, oh, that's an American, we're going to leave them alone, that's not there anymore. No. Yeah, because...
you're a target.
Yeah, you're a target. You're absolutely a target because number one, they know that Americans around the world have a reputation of being sheep, number one, and everybody thinks that the streets are literally paved with gold and we're all rich. So there's a lot, whether it's a pickpocketing target, a kidnapping target, and they're going to ransom you off, or... a human trafficking target, and hey, we don't have any blondes in our stable. That's what they want. And we're all targets, and you have to be aware of that. There's a lot of general tips. If you go back to the episode that we did just on situational awareness, a lot of that stuff applies internationally too. But you got to put this isn't your own backyard, so you got to put a lot more planning into it. You have to be more situational. You can't let your guard down. Yeah. You don't let your guard down until you walk back in your front door, put your bags down, and you flip that lock on the door. That's when you can kind of let your guard down again. But the whole time you're traveling abroad, you can't do that. You really can't.
So what's in your carry bag? What's your EDC everyday carry while you're traveling abroad? So let's say you're in London. So no gun.
No gun.
Magazine.
Yeah.
What do you still have on you?
I still have at least 2 knives on me at all times.
Do you buy them there or do you bring them?
I bring them, and I've been okay with that. I haven't had an issue with it. So obviously, make sure that it's not in your carry-on bags. Here's what I do, and somebody from TSA is probably going to hear this, and they're going to be on the lookout for me. I take a very minimal personal hygiene kit on the plane with me. Because I don't care about shaving. I care about changing my socks and brushing my teeth, and that's pretty much it. I don't care about shampoo or anything like that. So typically my whole toiletry kit goes in my regular bag. Usually at least one knife is in there, because no matter what degree of scrutiny that goes through, nail clippers, can of shaving cream, whatever, another oblong objects, I've never had an issue with that. The other place that I'll tend to put them is in that zipper compartment that's right in the hinge of your suitcase. Mm-hmm. I put stuff there. And it's not that I'm trying to hide. You know what? If they find it and they confiscate it, hey, that's, as the old saying goes, that's a fair cop, right? Yeah. But I would much prefer to have my own stuff with me. Now, that being said, I don't carry my favorites because I consider these to, anything that I'm traveling abroad with, I consider to be a throwaway. It's like when I used to drive in Panama with my Panamanian driver's license. That was a throwaway so that the Panamanian traffic cop couldn't extort money from me. I'm going to keep your license. Go ahead and keep my license. I don't care.
Yeah. If through immigration and customs, I've had things taken off me, to include knives. Not a problem. I had somebody scrutinize my IFAC. I have a very surreptitious IFAC, and a low vis. They opened it and they're looking at it and they're like, what's this? What's this? What's this? I was like, and they took a couple of things out of it. And I was like, you fucking son of a gun.
I take I have a Crike kit in my IFAC, and I take that out because it has a scalpel blade in it. But everything else in my IFAC, and my IFAC got opened twice on my trip to London, once in and once out. And they're like, why do you need this? Because I'm always prepared. Okay, they can't argue with that. They closed it back up and they handed it back to me.
So as soon as I get through custom and immigrations and I get checked into my hotel, I restock whatever I'm missing. So if that's going to a hardware store and buying a hammer and gluing some broken glass to, I'm kidding, but not necessarily.
He's kind of kidding.
Yeah, kind of kidding. I really find really vicious improvised weapons to have with me. And some of them I carry in my bag. Some of them I carry or I keep in the hotel by my bed under the mattress. Some of them I put it in my vehicle. And whether that's a 10-inch chef's knife that I bought from the equivalent of the Williams Sonoma in whatever country I'm in, or I'm at a hardware store kind of getting gangster and getting medieval, which I do sometimes. And I feel the safer for it. And, maybe my kids are like, seriously? Or maybe they're like, yeah, go get him. But I don't care.
So here's what I do. And I'm a big fan. Number one, I carry my backpack everywhere I go. Because the great thing about it, number one is, just the basic things like the IFAK that we mentioned, a rain jacket, things that you should always have, right? Ted Nugent used to say a pocket knife, a pistol, and a handkerchief, 3 things a guy might need. So, a handkerchief or a bandana, bottle of water, some energy bars, something to eat, stuff like that, a map of the local area, a cell phone charger. Number one, there's a ton of practical reasons to carry a backpack, but also, if somebody jumps out of a truck on London Bridge and starts wielding a kitchen knife at me, a backpack instantly becomes a shield.
Yeah.
It's not a Hoplon. It's not the best shield out there, but it is a shield.
Yeah, my backpack and my knife, like you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and mine too. So in the hydration pocket, I don't ever carry. I think hydration bladders for the most part are a place for bacteria to grow. But if you put a laptop there, now you've got some girth to that. That's going to protect your arm from a slashing injury. And I'm a huge fan. Terry Shapper and I talked about this. I'm a huge fan of umbrellas. I think a good sturdy umbrella, you can do a lot. That's not just for the Kingsman. That's legit. Yeah. You can do some damage with that, and you can at least keep somebody at bay with that.
Sure. So I have in my fanny pack. Actually, I have some of it right now.
He carries a fanny pack.
I do. Okay, so look at this. I do actually have it.
You got it?
Yeah. So this gets transferred to everywhere I go. I have my IFAK, which has a good tourniquet, which has a pressure dressing, which has some gauze, has a set of gloves, and then somewhere else, I also carry as much cash as I possibly can. And that's broken up into a couple of different places. So if I need to buy a one-way ticket out of someplace, I travel with multiple passports. People don't know this. You can have 2 blue civilian passports. You have to state a need, and the second passport only lasts a couple of years. But I always have 2 passports, at minimum. Truthfully, I will travel with 3 or 4 passports all the time.
Now here, you talked about stating a need. So here's an example of a need. If you say, well, I have to travel a lot for business to countries that require visas, because sometimes you will have passports caught up in visa application processes while you're traveling on another.
Yep. So it's real easy.
Yeah.
If you want to get a second passport, you book a flight for a place like Brazil, which requires you to have a visa, and then you book another flight to go to Argentina. And then you show that to the state to get your new passport. So you go to like passport.org or any passport filing place, and you show them, I have 2 flights, one of which requires me to send a visa. They're super close apart. I need a second passport. It's that easy, and it's done. You pay your basic. It's not any extra money. You pay your basic passport fee. Then you have a second passport. So...
and don't say Canada, Mexico, Bahamas, Virgin Islands, because then they're going to say, oh, well, you need a passport and a passport card.
Yeah.
And that's not what you need.
No, I also have the passport card. So I have a ceramic ball here. This I can throw against any window.
It's not a mint.
And it's going to shatter that window, and I can get through it very quickly. I have a hidden handcuff key that it's about 1/2 an inch long, and I have it inside of a rubber sheath so you can't see what it is. I have a piece of Kevlar string that is, I think it's 12 feet long. You can use that to saw through almost anything.
Yeah.
I can saw through duct tape. I can cut through flex cuffs. You can loop it, and you can saw through wood. You can cut through anything with this Kevlar. And then I have a handcuff shim. Nobody is going to look at these 4 items and have any idea what this is. You can get all of these things on our Sheepdog store. We carry the IFAKs, we carry the tourniquets, we carry the Kevlar string, the shims, all of this stuff that we carry, that I've been carrying, we put on there because we carry it. You can go to our forums. This conversation is kind of ongoing. If you can go to the Sheepdog alumni page, if you've been to one of our courses, we talk about these things there. And then people that travel to specific places, they bounce, hey, I'm going to be going here. Has anybody been there? What would you do? Etc. Is that a gun rack? Oh, no, it's a guitar rack.
It's dual purpose.
Yeah, but I have some pretty big guns, and I don't know.
It's a Barrett 50 cal rack.
Yeah, it's
so
like
you guys
1,
can't
2,
see it. We're looking
3,
at a rack
4,
just
5,
off camera
6,
over here.
7, 8, 9, 10. There's 12 slots for Barretts.
Yeah.
I'm inspired.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or guitars.
Or an A-team worth of guitars.
All right. That's a lot of information.
That's a lot of information. So, and like I said, go back to our previous episode on situational awareness, because most of what you're going to be doing is actually covered in that episode. We talk about it at length. Here's something that I do very surreptitiously, and then we're going to have to wrap because Justin just sent me a text. He's actually ready to go. Every morning when I go outside, I like to take a selfie in front of my hotel. I like to take a selfie in front of my hotel where what I'm getting over my shoulder in the background is the license plates of all the taxi cabs that are lined up in front of the hotel.
That's nice.
And if
you
I
send that to anybody in proof of life type thing? Like,
no,
this is where I am? Or
nope, but if I see those license plates recurring in various locations throughout the day, because what's a very low-vis vehicle that's going to be seen anywhere in Tangier, anywhere in Kenya, anywhere in Cape Town, anywhere in London, and you're not really going to pay it a whole lot of mind, a taxi cab. Right?
Cop car.
Well, it's just cop car.
Second.
That's just another taxi cab, right? But if you know the license plates and you can start looking for these patterns, why is that same taxi cab turning up where I eat lunch or at whatever attraction that I went to or where we're filming today? These are all very suspicious things. So that's another little thing that I do. But situational awareness, look for recurring things. Take a little bit of time to sit in the lobby and see who comes and goes. See how they interact with that. Remember that I told you the front desk is not your friend. Look to see if they are friends with anybody. Look to see if envelopes are being passed. Look for things like that, and it'll tell you a lot about the area that you're in. It really will. You got anything else?
No. Vigilance. Don't get complacent.
Yeah.
It's so easy to, I'm on vacation. It does not ruin your vacation to prepare.
No.
It makes your vacation not carefree, but enjoyable. If you do the right legwork, if you do the heavy lifting before you get there, you can get there, stick to your plan, and just enjoy yourself. Yeah. Otherwise, good luck trying to find your wife after they snatch her.
Yeah. If you're a regular listener, to this show, if you're fans of Sheepdog, if you've been to our courses, this becomes second nature. This never interferes with my enjoyment of a vacation. It absolutely doesn't. And literally to the point that often my wife usually doesn't even notice that I'm doing the things that I'm doing. Yeah. And she'll say, we got to a hotel and we were already in there and established. And she said, do you think this is a security issue? And I said, I absolutely do not think this is a security issue, or we wouldn't even have opened our bags. No. We would have been turned around walking out the front door. Anything else to add before we take off?
No, sir.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Again, thanks, everybody, for watching. We're going to cut this off because we've got a live call with a very special guest for a future episode that you're going to hear. So if you missed anything on this live stream, you can either rewatch it, I know as a lot of you do, or this will be the episode probably that's coming back next week, so you can just check it out then on iTunes. Make sure to go to sheepdogresponse.com, go to sheepdogstore.com, follow Tim on social media, follow me on social media, and until next time, be a sheepdog.
You have been listening to The Sheepdog Project. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Sheepdog Response. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the individual and do not represent any larger entity, public or private.